We're with Jeff, and we are discussing Kansas City, and you came here in 1999.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
1999. On a whim, I just kind of moved here with what I could fit in my car, which I don't think had insurance at the time. So I was
right.
likely just driving here with no insurance, maybe even on expired tags, to have this city experience after a small town.
So I'm curious. I'm curious about just the overall scene in Kansas City. Having been here a couple weeks, figured we'd make a video about the current state of Kansas City, the economy. I've had a chance to walk around and fill things out. Definitely, the property values are fairly low here. Right, it's a suffering city.
Well, in this, it has zones like a lot of cities do. They're along pretty strict dividing lines. If you go down Troost Avenue, everything to
Mhm.
the east of that has really low property values and low property taxes.
Right.
Bad schools, consequently, certain other consequences. The rest of it on the other side of Troost improves the further you get from Troost, with Troost being this dividing line in terms of economic
So
values.
the economic situation, the majority of jobs happen to be
The U.S. federal government, I believe, is the largest Kansas City employer, and we have, I think, the United States' largest underground facilities, most caves that are used. I mean, in terms of just being fully developed, we can go out there and record them sometime, hopefully.
a lot of people are familiar with the Ozarks, in particular Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory TV show, and the Ozarks. That's about 4 hours from here.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
the Ozark Mountains. It's really beautiful down
so
there.
there definitely could be a connection, and we know that Kansas City was mentioned in the SPP meetings.
Hmm.
People that are aware of the North American Union plans from a few years ago are aware of Kansas City and this proposed plan to make this some sort of a trade capital.
Yeah, the idea is that we are the most well situated for the diaspora of goods on the trains.
Right.
So
And
we
we're just
can.
north of Dallas, basically, on the corridor.
Mhm.
Also on I-35. Okay. So Kansas City is clearly a place where there's government energy, underground bases, tunnels. It was proposed to be
Nuclear
this
trigger factory.
right, and so much more. So there's something about Kansas City and its future
It's
that much we can
conservatism.
see.
You know, it's a place where I think the government feels they can operate without much resistance. There's not really a
Okay.
movement here to oppose anything. I mean, people don't even oppose local government.
Now the job situation's bad. It's mostly low income, and these are very large areas that are just outside of this what appears to be a very pretty metropolis. But like Dallas, it reminds me of a modern day Babylon that looks pretty. As a kid, I've always loved pictures of the skyline from Portland to other cities. And when you get around the city, though, just outside, you see what is really going on.
There's kind of an ugly woman can still wear beautiful rings.
Right.
And so the tall buildings of a city are its rings, kind of, and that's what it adorns itself with. And everybody's supposed to stare at that and think it's impressive.
Right.
But it doesn't invest in its own people. And therefore, the city actually is like
It's
this
fake jewelry.
dying.
Okay.
Well, it's this dying thing where the population is most undervalued, but all the jewels are what everybody's really screaming about and wanting to pay attention to. And
That
so they're
bling.
just, yeah, it's the bling.
They say
city
reaching
bling.
for that golden ring.
Billions of dollars for bling. No dollars for basic maintenance, like repairing the sewer systems or improving the infrastructure or the opportunities for most of the people who live on the east side of Troost. So Kansas City, like most cities, is completely dominated by a few interests
Right.
and by greed as the primary motivating factor of these people's associations with each other. And until we have maybe a noble class of actors that can come in and say, hey, guess what? Like, we're already wealthy and we don't need to get even hyper wealthy at the expense of the whole population. And we can actually act on benefit of all these people. Until real leaders emerge, Americans in general, but Kansas Cityans specifically, will suffer. And they'll feel it. Sales taxes are going over 10%. We tax food from grocery stores here. Everything here is taxed.
Grocery stores. The Kansas City grocery stores, many of them have an armed guard. This is new. It gives you that New York vibe. It's like I'm in Brooklyn or something. But I don't know if the grocery stores in New York have as many armed guards. I know security has become a
Well,
big business.
as
and-
the economy has tanked from 2007 to 8, food
Yeah.
is what people are really desperate for when they hit desperation. Food is where desperation finds itself. You know, it's when it becomes self-aware that you're desperate when you absolutely have to have food. Well,
right.
in order to preserve the American dream, we have to make food expensive so that people will continue to work. And there could never possibly be free food for anybody that could be conveniently located at a grocery store where they're throwing away a tremendous amount of the food anyway. So they have the armed guards there to guard the food.
Keep things safe.
And the whiskey. A lot of people go in there and steal, like, because they sell sin, is what sin tax, you know, but because they sell sin, you have the armed guards there because of the whiskey and the beverages. And general thuggery game.
Yeah, has that been going on here at all?
Just the cops on the people.
Really? A little bit of that?
I mean, I think that's a new game.
Tell us about that.
Well, actually, Kansas City police are, in my estimation, really good at doing their job. And I think that they
Okay.
understand what real crime is and what real horror is, and so therefore they don't want to concern themselves needlessly with protest or with... I mean, I've seen the Kansas City police protect protest in this city, as counterintuitive as that may sound, relative to everything I've said. But the police are still relatively good in Kansas City, in essence, because they're controlled by the State House, because
Right.
the city government is so corrupt that they took the police control from them a long time ago due to their corruption. So that's the Kansas City's saving grace, is that our police here, I think they really understand crime, they really understand what's dangerous, and therefore they're working hard to make Kansas City a safer and friendlier place. And some of that is tolerance. So, you know, you see prostitution. Well, prostitution involves women and men. It's not just pimps. It's also women. You know, like prostitution is inconvenient to deal with.
Right.
And it's not the type of crime that police officers are really needing to focus on, although it is tied into criminal networks that police officers are usually trying to deal with.
Kansas City is another sex trafficking hub.
Yeah, because we have so many truckers. And so we can go down to where the truckers come into the West Bottoms and where the trains come into the West Bottoms, and we will meet a large number of burlesque dancers, let's say. And they'll be available for us to pick up if we're driving a semi. If we're driving a car or whatever, they know that we're not supposed to be there. And they probably wouldn't hop in with us. Unless we were like, hey, here's $100. We just want to do an interview with you. We could maybe do something like that. But so the Kansas City, yeah, for real. I wouldn't say it's sex trafficking as much as, it is sex trafficking if you find out that there's a network involved, but it's also just like the job of last resort for some people, and they're just like, hey man, I make $40 doing this. I don't have to, suck the manager's
Right.
appendage at the restaurant anymore. I can come out here and do it. It's that when the general economy starts to be bad for the majority of people, it's not a good time for people.
When you're one of those guys that's not paying for your blowjob, like, we've all, I don't know how many people have heard that person screaming in the street, I suck your dick. You fucking kicked me out of the car? We heard something like that last night out here about 5 o'clock in the morning, but what I can say is she had no shoes and she was walking basically in a long gray shirt. Nothing else. I've come to the conclusion, whatever, crack cocaine's in this neighborhood, it's hot. Shoot the body temperature at that point. It's a high humidity environment. At that time, probably 5-10 degrees outside. At that time.
Yeah.
Running around with nothing but a long shirt, that's some powerful something.
Yeah, no, I had a woman run out once with no shirt on from a house. And I was just driving through in this little pickup truck, trying to pick up trash from vacant lots in the neighborhood. And she jumps in. She just jumps in the passenger seat. She's got no shirt on.
Oh.
She's an older lady, but she's like, drive, just drive.
Just get me out of here.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try to help you because you're obviously in distress. It's a very awkward situation because you're naked from the waist up. And it's what's happened, or she's just like, take me around this way, and I took her around these corners, and then she's like,
down that alley
for your help, and dropped her off, and then she ran into an alley, and I'm like, okay, like that's just so
was that where was that here?
That was just right 1 block over and half the block up.
Oh right.
Yeah, jumps in the truck, just jumps in.
So I heard you have a neighborhood watch person over here. I saw 4 police the other day walking up that way. maybe to talk to him.
Yeah, there are people with cameras.
But basically, we're outside downtown, and it's definitely like, I've walked around this area, and Independence Avenue, Truman Street, stuff like that, and it's an interesting, because it reminds me of Portland, the layout, the north, south, east, west, and the further east you go, the weirder it gets.
The city
But
makes it really difficult.
It lacks a lot of local businesses. It lacks a lot of spot where there could be gatherings. I don't know what it looks like in the spring, but it seems like there's just a lot of street activity and people stay inside in this part of the urban jungle. I don't know
Well,
what
it's cold now. There will
Right.
be a lot more people. as soon as
Okay,
the
so it's
warms
about to
up.
get more wild in many ways.
Yeah, it's
From
going to
what
be.
I-
We
yeah.
have a vacant lot, which is a homeless
Right.
hangout that we'll plant trees on. That's
Right.
an opportunity to see like a really intense group of people. Oh man, I don't even know, and I don't even want to know what they're up to,
Really?
man. Yeah, but
Really?
so I just
Right.
dig and plant trees, and I'm just surrounded by people who are in way. Yeah, as weird as that lady was screaming in the shirt, those kind of people, man.
Right on.
Tens, dozens.
So the homeless are these people that have, by and large, for the most part, are from Kansas City, Missouri. Are they from the rest of Missouri? I'm curious what the rest of Missouri is like as well. And then, are they just from all over the country? Like, man, get to Kansas City, Missouri. It's great. They got underground tunnels, and it's a concrete jungle, and they got some powerful crack. I mean, what is it about? Is it just the bad economy here? Is there a magnet here? What brings them here? Is there really a ley line here? That's 1,000 questions and more. What is it?
Well,
Because there could be a combination of like magnetic lines, people drawn to these places. Portland, I've always thought was one of them.
it's possible to measure these things and correlate the data, and then see if it holds.
See, I
across
can't prove any of
regions.
this whole theory.
Right, but it is. But there have been, assuming that the observations are correct, people have really attempted to make very precise measurements of the magnetic field strengths all over the surface of the Earth. Like there are these really well done maps where universities and scientists have taken magnometers, I don't know how to say the word exactly, magnometers, and they have detected the variability of the magnetic field. And gravity too. Do you know that there's higher and lower gravity fields on the surface of the Earth? It causes clocks to run faster or slower. It causes atoms to vibrate faster or slower. In relative to each other, not relative to their local position. But so there's literally these subtle differences on the Earth. It's on the Moon too. They have to actually plot for their satellites to go around it.
Yeah.
Where the gravitational perturbations are, because it'll deflect it. It literally causes it to move.
I was just thinking about how crazy this place is going to be in the summertime.
Oh, it shall be something to behold. But I will say this: there are a lot of other places that are around us and not too
Yeah,
far away.
the
that
rest
are
of Missouri,
beautiful
what-
and
yeah, what-
surrounded. They'll have people there and like music and wine and poetry. And because it's so laid back, like there are these moments with large groups of people that it's a really great environment. I mean, it's really very much like what I would conceive ancient Greco-Roman theaters to be like, or like a group of people that can debate without stabbing each other, that can drink wine in public without being like raucous and destructive. And it has this kind of sophistication to it that's enjoyable and lends itself well to creating, documentaries or whatever too. I mean,
Are you talking about Kansas City?
yeah, Kansas City.
Okay,
is a
'cause,
city.
yeah,
Some of its positive things.
I remember making a video, and I don't know how much I uploaded, but it was basically, I was thinking, yeah, it's about what you focus on. There's so much of the city that's just more
But this is a place
of,
where
of the same.
we selected this because the property taxes are so low.
Right.
And so, if you throw, like when you walk through the neighborhood, if you just throw trash all over the ground and maybe shoot or set on fire some of the vacant homes, you get this much lower property taxes. And it's like, and in a way, that's what Kansas City offers, is like country living, little bit of third world chaos and danger.
Country living, yeah, it's true. Because you got kind of a urban homestead in the making.
Yeah, we have an acre and a half
hmm
of land, and then
What are some of the things that you can foresee doing with that or already have done?
We planted 450 trees last year, fruit trees, and this year we have 900 trees coming.